welcome to the Jackrabbit Spring Football Game, played for the first time ever here indoors at the new Sanford Jackrabbit Athletic Complex on the campus of SDSU here in Brookings, South Dakota. Tom Nieman along with Hank McCall, and as we look ahead to the fall season, we get the 15th and final practice here of the spring period in college football, Hank, and this is called a spring game, but it's really the final practice of the spring. And what are these guys trying to get done here in this game today?
Well, what they're trying to do, this program in general, they're trying to take a look at where they're at right now, halfway through the offseason. There's been a whole lot accomplished as far as in the weight room, throughout winter workouts, and really on the practice field with valuable reps for young guys who are going to have to step up and fill positions, key positions on this football team in order for it to be successful next fall. And that's what they're really trying to take a look at today, just see how far they've come since the end of the season.
All right, here's what head coach John Stiegelmeier has to say about spring football.
You always want to get better in general. Your young guys want to establish themselves. Those are givens. But a couple things that we talked about is mastery. When you hear a defense, when you hear an offense, you're not thinking, all right? It's mastered. And that's so important because when you go into the summer and you're practicing on your own, there's nobody out there to remind you what the route is or what the coverage is. And so we really want to become experts in our trade.
All right, Hank, they're going to play 4 25-minute quarters here in the spring game. They'll keep the clock running for all of those quarters. You got the offense here in blue, the defense in yellow. They'll get points for various accomplishments here during the game, not scored like a regular game. But we'll follow some of the play-by-play here as Brady Mangarelli takes off on a nice run for the Jacks offense. But we'll talk about each position group as we go here. Hear a lot from the position coaches and from the coordinators and from head coach John Stiegelmeier. But what's the biggest question for you for the Jackrabbits going into next season?
The big one here today for me is the quarterback situation. Is that question going to be answered by the end of today? Absolutely not. Zach Lujan is not participating. Of course, him being the incumbent for the most part after stepping in for Austin Sumner last year. Some invaluable reps in leading the Jackrabbits last fall. So he'll be ready to go come fall camp. But today, Dalton Douglas obviously getting first reps here. Very athletic young quarterback who showed off his athleticism in the last spring game but didn't get a play last year. We'll see if he's able to step it up here today and maybe set himself apart from the other guys to go into direct competition with Zach Lujan next fall.
All right, here's Dalton Douglas. He is a sophomore out of the state of California. And we'll talk about the quarterbacks here in a little bit, but let's start with the running backs and focus on them. Zach Zenner, of course, is gone. He's probably going to be in the NFL here shortly, but he was the only FCS player to run for more than 2,000 yards in 3 straight seasons. And SDSU running backs had 431 carries last year. Zenner had 78% of those. So Brady Mangarelli, as you see here, he had 61 carries and probably gets the nod as the number 1 guy here coming out of spring.
I would say right now he's clearly become the leader of that group and done some things, but there's some backs that have done some nice things. I think some guys see there's a chance for me to play more now. With Zenner graduated, there's a lot more snaps to go around.
We have Brady, who played a lot last year for us, and he's returning. He's the leader of the group right now, and he's having a pretty good spring. And Isaac Wallace, a guy that we redshirted last year, he's a special talent. We believe that he has some special abilities that a lot of guys in the conference don't have.
All right, Mangarelli, number 44 here in blue. The most carries he had in a Missouri Valley game last year was 9. So, he's going to have to carry the load much more this year. We will see Isaac Wallace, a redshirt freshman that everybody's very high on. He's number 35. He's from Ralston High School down in Omaha, and he is kind of got the it factor when you talk to the coaches.
He can get in and out of his cuts so smooth and so fast. He's at top speed before you know it. You can miss a guy, you can not block a guy, he can make him miss, and he can turn into a big play. He has that big play ability, and it's just natural for him. There's some things, right now we're working on tweaking to make him an all-around complete back, but right now he just has the natural ability that a lot of guys don't have.
All right, 35 here is Isaac Wallace, 6'1", 200 pounds, strong, fast. He's got every tool that you could imagine as a running back, according to the coaches, and saw a little burst from him there.
And that's really what these guys are looking for in a game like this. Certainly, you want to understand alignment and assignment. Can these guys be where they need to be, do what they need to do on every play? But who, in this type of a situation, as much of a game like scenario as they can put them in. This is a simulated game. It's not really a game, but regardless, who's going to step up, make some plays, and maybe stand out amongst the group.
All right, more on the quarterbacks when we come back. The Jacks have to replace Austin Sumner, their all-time leader in passing yards and passing touchdowns. And who's going to be next? We'll talk about that when we come back.
This Jackrabbit Journal Spring Football Special on Midco Sports Network is presented by BillionAuto.com and Volunteers of America Dakotas.
All right, welcome back to the Jackrabbit Spring Football Game. Tom Nieman along with Hank McCall, and let's talk about the quarterbacks. Austin Sumner was a 4-year starter for the Jackrabbits. He set new school records for career yards and touchdown passes. He is moving out to Colorado and getting on with his life. But you see Tyler Finnis, a senior, coming in here, getting some reps here after Dalton Douglas was in with the first team, Hank. You'll also see a little bit of Chris Little coming up. And Zach Lujan, who was a starter for a lot of the season last year for the Jacks, had surgery. He is out right now, not participating in the spring game. But who do you like? Who's going to be the quarterback?
Whew, that's the golden question right there, Tommy. No doubt about it. We still got a lot to see here today as far as who could potentially set themselves apart. Nobody has really done that up to this point. But there's still a whole lot that remains to be seen here today, and a whole lot that's yet to happen as we move through the offseason, getting ready for next fall.
All right, here's Coach Stiegelmeier. He says that after today, they will kind of sort of know who's going to be the number one guy.
We will, but it'll be a guess because our projected starter isn't even practicing. You know, Zach Lujan is injured, surgery, so he's not going to be able to practice. And so he would be the heir apparent for Sumner. And so really we're establishing the top 3 out of the other 3 guys and then see how Zach is in the summer.
The competition, until it separates itself, is what's important, of coming to work every day, being on edge, knowing that every rep, every play matters.
All right, Hank, we're going to see Chris Little, a redshirt freshman from Illinois, come in here and get some reps. And the quarterback spot's really going to come down to 5 guys. Taryn Christian from Sioux Falls Roosevelt is going to come in this fall as a true freshman. He'll get a shot to compete for the quarterback job. And Stig makes it sound like Zach Lujan is the front runner, but he started 7 games last year. Did he do enough as the starter last year to be the number one guy this year?
No, I don't believe that he did. What he did was he was able to come in and win some football games for this program. That was a nice ball down the field by Chris Little. I just got to mention that while we've got us live on that shot. Very nice ball right out of the chute, play action pass. He puts it on the money 30 yards downfield. But, you know, Zach did some good things, but he made some bonehead mistakes that you would expect from any rookie quarterback in his first season starting. So, you know, it's not said and done. Just like Coach Stig talked about earlier in the show, there's still a little bit of unknown.
All right, Hank, whomever is going to be quarterback this year, they're going to have Jake Winneke to throw the football to. Winneke was the Missouri Valley Freshman of the Year last year. He set a new SDSU school record with 16 touchdowns. Here is Josh Davis, the wide receiver coach, on how Jake Winneke can get better this year.
When you watch Jake and you critique his route running, you're going to see some wasted movement, some areas where his footwork needs to be cleaner, where we can be better with our hands and our pad level. And he's focusing on improving in those areas. But just those fine details of route running, route technique, release technique, blocking pad level, those are all things that he can improve on, and we need him to improve on.
And this is a really interesting backfield right here with Little, Isaac Wallace split out. And Little puts it on the money to Trevor Wesley.
Little star route there by Trevor Wesley with Winneke at the 1, running deep, clearing the way for Wesley. Good ball by Chris Little. Put it on the money and let the speedy wide receiver do what he does best and find the end zone. Nice play by the offense.
One of the knocks on Chris Little is he's been a little erratic throwing the football, but the first throw he threw here down the field in the end zone was right on the money. Nice little short route there to Wesley, and if he can get it under control and get his accuracy down, he looks like a very good contender at quarterback. All right, Jake Winneke split out to the left here. He's been running some track this year for the Jackrabbits as well. He's got SDSU's fastest time in the 200 meters so far this spring. But can you see Winicky matching his numbers? 16 touchdowns last year. Can you see him matching what he did last year as a freshman?
Wow, it sure would be something if he was able to do that. One thing to consider is that he did a whole lot of that with Zach Luan as his quarterback last year. A young guy who hadn't started a game at this level, who came in and developed a very good rapport with Jake. He and Zach, they really clicked there for quite a while and made a lot of plays. I think it will take an extraordinary effort, another extraordinary effort by Jake Winicky next year in order for him to duplicate what he did. Teams are going to know who he is. They're going to game plan for him next year. So it'll take something special, that's for sure.
Yeah, Jacks are going to miss Jason Schneider, the senior wide receiver who was outstanding on the other side. On the other side for the Jacks, as far as wide receiver, you hear Coach Davis talking about Brandon Andrews. He will be a senior. You got Connor Landberg, another guy that looks like Jake Winicky, big, tall kid. He's a junior, number 18. Trevor Wesley made a catch here earlier on. He'll be a senior. He was third on the team in catches last year with 35. And then Matt Raymond, a little guy in the slot, number 81. And then Larvis Jones, another kid that's about 6'4". He will be a senior. Caught some balls last year in that North Dakota State game at the end of the year. All right, Hank, at tight end for the Jacks. Jacks had just 16 total catches in 14 games from the tight end position last year. Should we expect more catches than that, or what is the tight end's role on this team?
No, I don't think we should expect more catches from that group this year. If Cam Jones can stay healthy this season, I would expect a little more production from that position just due to his overall athleticism and ability to go up and get the football. But for the most part, this position group within this offense, they know their role, and it's a vital role. You see two tight ends on the field quite a bit for this offensive unit, but it's not necessarily one that's really called upon to go down the field and make plays. But like I said, maybe we'll see more of that this fall.
All right, Cam Jones had 18 catches 2 years ago as a sophomore. He had a bad foot injury that year, late in the year, came back last year as a junior and was still limited, but sounds like he is ready to go full speed now.
He's back, and I think better than ever. And it shows in spring ball. He's been making a ton of plays down the field, going up over guys for catches. And he's just a real tough matchup at 6'5", 6'6", and his ability to run. He's really having a great spring and being a big threat for our offense.
All right, when we come back, we'll take a look at the fat guys, the defensive and the offensive lines, see who's going to be opening up the running lanes and who will be getting after the quarterback for the Jackrabbits.
This Jackrabbit Journal Spring Football Special on Midco Sports Network is presented by BillionAuto.com and Volunteers of America, Dakotas.
All right, welcome back to the Jackrabbit Spring Football Game. Tom Nieman along with Hank McCall, and Coach John Stiegelmeier affectionately calls his offensive linemen the fat guys, Hank, and they've got 4 offensive linemen back that started that last game of the season last year. So what's your impression of the offensive lineman group?
Oh, these guys, this is a veteran group that's going to come back, and they're going to be ready to do what SDSU fat guys do, which is run the football and then do what they need to do in pass pro to make sure their guy stays on his back. The last couple of years have kind of been tough as far as sacks given up for this group, so that's certainly something that they want to improve upon. Right tackle is the big question mark for this unit. They need to get that shored up before the start of next fall, which they certainly will. But another big thing is the versatility for this group. Over the past couple of years, and last year in particular, there were guys that needed to step up at different positions at different times, and they were able to do that quite effectively when you look at the overall result.
Here's Coach John Flynn talking about if he wants this group to be great run blockers or great pass protectors this year.
Every O-line coach wants both. Of course, in our system, with running backs like Zach Zinner and Isaac, young guys, Isaac Wallace, all of our really good running backs, our first priority is to run the football. From an O-line standpoint, we naturally want to be great at both, but we certainly want to run the ball first as well, and not necessarily throw the ball second, but take pride in running the ball and pro them up as well, and really be a well-rounded O-line group.
All right, on the other side, the defensive line. Jack Sherlock is gone. He led the team in sacks last year with 3, but defensive coordinator Clint Brown thinks that he has some guys that can get after the quarterback this year.
I think we'll be better pass rushers. I mean, if you look at where we were last year, that was our weakness. We only had 15 sacks for the season, and that's been a point of emphasis for us all spring. I think with Cole having another year under his belt, and JR, Pody stepping up. Kellen Sulik has had a great spring, and then Christian Beniziak and Chase Kern and have shown that we've improved in that area. So we just need to do it on Saturday next fall.
All right, Hank, you look out there at the defensive line right now. You got Langer, you got Ploty, you got 58 is Chase Kern. What do these guys need to do to get more pressure, I guess, on the quarterback?
Well, these guys are going to take strides, make strides this offseason, no doubt about it. This is the number 2 question mark, the number 2 concern for this football team coming into the offseason. These guys got the job done for the most part last year, but they've got to find a way to put more pressure on the quarterback in 2015.
All right, Mason Lyseth out of Hayti, South Dakota, in there, one of the defensive end spots as well right now. Shane Gottlob is out with an injury right now, but he's going to be back and give the Jacks some more depth on that defensive line. They got a couple of guys that are out right now. Tiano Pupagatoa is a sophomore, and they expect something out of him. Taiwan Ramsey is a redshirt freshman from Milwaukee. Some more interior guys, some tackles who could help the Jacks up those sack totals this year.
We've had success rushing the passer from the inside, and Cole definitely has the capability to be a dominant pass rusher inside, and Kellen Sulik is a very good pass rusher as well inside. So we have the guys there to be able to do it. Just need to execute and get better every day.
Right, defensive line was one big point of emphasis this spring. So is the safety position after the graduation of Melvin Tavares and Jake Gentile. We'll talk about the defensive backs and the linebackers when we come back.
This Jackrabbit Journal Spring Football Special on Midco Sports Network is presented by BillionAuto.com and Volunteers of America, Dakotas.
All right, welcome back to the Jackrabbit Spring Football game here at the S-JAC indoors on the SDSU campus. Let's talk about the back 7 for the Jackrabbits, Hank. The linebackers and the defensive backs. Safety was really the only spot that is not coming back with Melvin Tavares and Jake Gentile. Both graduated. That's really the only spot that needs to be filled, isn't it?
Yeah, for the most part. This is going to be a group that's going to come back. They're going to lead this defense from the back end. TJ Lally, of course, the staple in the linebacking core. But we look at Jerian Butler and Jimmy Forsythe at the corners, and Trey Carr, who got invaluable reps last year. Those guys are going to be ready to go. So we look at the 2 safety positions, which is the same situation we were in last year with seniors going out and Melvin Tavares having to step in at the free spot. And then Mr. Gentile at strong safety. So no stranger to that situation is this program. And we've got some young, talented guys that are fighting for those 2 jobs in the back to lead the squad.
All right, when you talk to the coaches about that safety spot, they say that spot is in probably better hands than most people think.
Alex Romanesco and Micaiah Slade, two young kids there. They redshirted for us. They're really athletic. A lot of times they don't know where they're going. So got to get them pointed in the right direction. They'll get there. And you'll see them on the field next year. They're going to play.
I would say our safety position is going to be solid. I mean, you're not going to know the faces early in the season, but Alex Romanesco is a redshirt freshman that is having an awesome spring, and he's a physical kid that's going to come up and hit you. Great feet. Micaiah Slade may be our best athlete on the team. He's got a 42-inch vertical. He can run, and he's still figuring it out, learning the defense. But when he does, he flashes, and he's going to make some plays. And Nick Mears is going to be one of the better safeties in the conference.
All right, Hank, right now you got Nick Mears coming up here, number 42. You got Nick Farina. You got Jimmy Forsythe at one of the corners here. Jerian Butler's going to be back as well as one of the corners. Defensive backfield looks very good, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. They're going to be the staple of this defensive unit this next fall. Nick Mears, he's going to be the guy in the way back as far as the safety position is concerned. There's really only one spot that's open in my eyes.
You got 2 young guys. Everybody's talking about redshirt freshman Alex Romanesco and Micaiah Slade. Slade, a redshirt freshman. Some coaches talk about him as the best athlete they may have had here in the last whatever years, but a kid that needs to learn how to play at the college level, but he's a true athlete.
Real fired up about that young man coming out of Lincoln, Nebraska. a lot to learn for the young man as a new football player within this program. But they're hoping that, with his athleticism, if he's able to grasp the scheme and understand where he needs to be on every single play, they'd love to have his athleticism back there making plays for this defense.
All right, let's talk about the linebackers, Hank. And one guy they thought was going to be back is gone. Charles Elmore, who played as a freshman, sat out last year with an injury. He has been dismissed from the team. The coaches have confirmed that. But even without him back, the linebacking core should be very good, shouldn't it?
Yeah, this will be a seasoned unit for this defense, led by T.J. Lally. Sure, losing Elmore, that's no good. He was a playmaker, but he didn't play last year either. So they're really not much of a loss there when you look at this crew. Very anxious to see how things play out. JT Hassel, that kid can fly around. He's a playmaker too. Really a heck of a football player. Very glad to see him healthy, and he's flying around out there today. What's going to happen with this third linebacking spot? We're going to see whether it's Sam or Will, the weak side linebacker. They've got options. They can shuffle JT around. He's a very versatile player. He can play either of those positions. We'll see if any of these guys can stand out today and over the course of the next 6 months.
All right, Hank, you see T.J. Lally, number 33, familiar 33 out there. He's going to be a 4-year starter for the Jacks. J.T. Hassel is number 51, will probably be a starter this year. And then they've got a new guy, number 8, Cody Hazlett, who will probably get some playing time according to Coach Jimmy Rogers.
Cody Hazlett has filled the role. He's a transfer from Northern Illinois, and he has done a really, really good job. I'm really impressed with the progression that he has made from really the fall to right now. It's night and day how far he's come.
Half of the linebackers are being held out at spring here with minor injuries. You got Jesse Bobbitt, who was the starter for a lot of last year, Tom Pites, Patrick Schuster. Probably Lally and Bobbitt and Hassel maybe as the starters right away, but 5 or 6 other guys that are going to play linebacker.
Absolutely. Guys that have been in big positions for this football team and have made plays in big games. Dallas Brown in particular. He's a playmaker. A little undersized at linebacker, which is maybe why he hasn't been able to really push through to one of those starting roles up to this point. But nonetheless, he's a guy, 4 or 5 linebackers deep that you can rely on any given Saturday.
All right, we got special teams left to talk about. The Jacks have to replace a really good kicker and a really good punter. So who's it going to be? We'll finish up with that when we come back.
This Jackrabbit Journal Spring Football Special on Midco Sports Network is presented by BillionAuto.com and Volunteers of America, Dakotas.
All right, back at the Jackrabbit Spring Football game inside the Sanford Jackrabbit Athletic Complex. Tom Nieman along with Hank McCall. And the Jacks, they need to replace a kicker this year. Justin Siravatka was almost perfect last year, 19 out of 20 on field goals. He was perfect, 50 of 50 on point afters. They've got some walk-ons doing the kicking here today. Jay Carlson is number 92 for the Jacks. He is not playing because of a tweaked hamstring here today, but right now at least he is the guy that they're looking at to replace Siravatka. Chase Vinatieri from Sioux Falls Roosevelt will be a true freshman. He could end up as the place kicker for the Jacks. They've got another freshman coming in from Yankton, South Dakota, Brady Hale, who is going to come in and probably be the punter for South Dakota State because they don't have anybody here in the spring ball doing the punting. Not ideal to have true freshmen coming in as your place kicker and your punter, but it's a good possibility.
No, certainly not ideal. But it's every team goes through it at some point. Guys, they make their way on out of the program, and somebody's got to step up and fill those shoes and find a way to be the guy. And that's exactly what these young guys will eventually do. They'll battle it out for that starting job, just like any other. Even though they're kickers, somebody's got to be the guy, and we'll see how it plays out.
All right, one last thought on freshmen though, Hank. Back-to-back 9-win playoff seasons for the Jackrabbits has definitely raised the SDSU profile when the coaches go out and recruit. They say that the beast is really starting to feed on itself here.
The more you win, the more stuff that you build, really the more you elevate your program to more of a national stage. You can chase after the guys. You can go out and recruit the top guys that you want.
The last 2 recruiting classes have been big time. We've signed a lot of guys that could play early, some talented kids from some schools where they come in with a good football base and good football knowledge and have some moxie about them.
And we are still working out the details on a TV contract, but we should have a majority of these games for you here this year on Midco Sports Network. Thanks to all the coaches here at SDSU. That's it for spring ball. We'll see you this fall with more Jackrabbit football.